Am I? The world may never know.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of PS What's Next. We got my boy Steve here with me.
What's happening?
Yeah. How are you today?
I mean, as a whole, alive and well. Definitely going through probably some of the heavier times of my life, for sure. Dealing with some things that I have not really dove into before, and doing it without crutches per se. It's really fucking tough.
Is that I was thinking when you said, like, is that what makes it heavy without the crutches? Because it's like you're not numbing it now, right? So it seems like it's heavier, but I know looking back, I don't know you back then, but it was probably pretty heavy too.
I mean, so I think what I'm dealing with now, right? Like, is I have this cyclical pattern, and it definitely with my relationships in life, right? And I yes, like so serial relationship guy, like end one relationship in a terrible fashion, get right into another relationship without having worked on the exact things. But I also this is a new awareness for me, right? Like this is all brand. I'm like a baby, right? Like learning these things because like in October I left a situation which I never in a million years thought I would leave, right? Like, and it's just my attachment style is super avoidant. Like it's either some sort of like selfishness, or it's just I have this innate ability to push people away that are super, or they never get super close to me, right? Like before people get close to me, I push away, and I've done it time and time again, right? And I had done it in this last relationship to the point where when it came back time for me to say, well, this is actually what I really want, right? Like I have relationship like desires and wants and needs in a relationship, but I can't get to that point, or have not been able to get to that point, so it's so when it came time for me to say, hey, I want this again, finally she stood up for herself and said enough is enough, and now for the guy that says that my entire life and why I have blown up every relationship in my life has been, and it could be friends, it could be romantic relationships, whatever, has been, I want to do this on my own. And I've never been alone in my entire life. Come like as I'm going through this shit sandwich that I'm eating now, like it turns out that I'm actually going through this alone, and I don't like it. I don't want to be alone, and this is all super new. Like I said, this is all like fresh, and it's heavy.
But yeah, I can relate for sure because I've never not been in a relationship, basically.
Yeah, same.
But what does alone mean to you? Because I feel like you're not the way you communicate to me, and I see you communicate to other people. You're not alone, but like you like that intimate, like coming home to someone stuff is what.
Well, like I think alone to me means a lot of things, right? Like in this last week and a half, like I have wrote a book, and it has been all about alone. Like I have not a book, but dozens and dozens of pages of shit about how I feel and what alone means to me in particular. And it means a lot of things, right? Like, so alone can mean like what I thought was my desire to live in a van down by a river, right? Like I love whitewater, and I love being alone in that, because that is the one place where I feel like complete. Like it does something to me to be on a river, and doing that by yourself is the one time that it really makes sense to me to get my thoughts together, right? And when I come back, let's say come back to earth per se from that experience, I am I feel overwhelmed a lot, right?
Mm,
Like I feel very overwhelmed. So that either is anxiety, like an anxious response, or I want to be alone and I ask for my free time, or I kick and scream until I get my free time or implode something. That's alone that I may or may not desire. The other part of alone is going through things without another thing I wrote, like sexual band-aids or like booze crutches, right? Like it's my medicine cabinet has been full of either, replace people, places, things with people, places, things, right? But never getting to the meat of it. But I'm eating my slice of humble pie, and I don't have to like it. And this has been some of the hardest weeks of my life, like panic mode, but I know like the outcome of this, right? It has to be better than what I've done before, because it is entirely different than what I've done before. All the other work previously has been what I thought was really, really intensive work, right? And we say this shit all the time. It's each time you peel a layer of the onion back, right? You get it, and you're like, oh, I got this, right? This is cool. And then something else happens, and you're like, fuck, that sucks a little bit more, and you get through that one, right? So now we're deep into this onion, right? Like we started here, and we are like into this shit, and I hate it. There's like, I hate it, but I love it, right? Like it is the most, it's the most emotional pain and almost the most physical pain I've ever felt in my life going through this too, because it is entirely resting on me, right? Like the only person that's getting me through this is me. So yeah.
They say the best thing about getting sober is feeling your feelings, and the worst thing about getting sober is feeling your feelings.
Yeah.
But I feel like, yeah, so you're just responding differently to situations than you always have, and that's always hard. But then you break that paradigm, and I think you can see that light at the end of the tunnel, because that's what you're talking about. It's way worth it than what you've been doing. But yeah, it sucks. Embrace the suck, we used to say at work. But
I mean, embrace the suck in lots of situations. But yeah, like the heavy, right? Like, so I've got a pretty solid morning and evening routine that helps a lot. And it took a long time to get into that, because, I thought I was doing everything right. On the surface, I was fixed per se. But, forming habits, like healthy habits, so I was in the military, and I was a bodybuilder. I had all of these habits that, for whatever reason, like I love a schedule, right? I love a regimented schedule. And for me to get back into a schedule to take care of myself has been one of the fucking toughest things to try and put together. Like to consistently, like my morning routine now, and this has been consistent for over a month now. But it's wake up, go drink this apple cider vinegar bullshit, then I jump in the shower, and I have these. It's like a 15-minute like affirmations type deal. So I have different affirmations every day while I shower, and after that, while those affirmations are finishing up, I go into like 15 to 20 minutes of mobility work for my old ass back and joints and all that stuff, right? Because that's important to me. I got a shitty back. I got a very shitty back. So the mobility work is really important, and that makes me feel good. Then the third step of that is making myself meditate. And I sit for 2 sessions at once, and I do. A friend put me on to this Sadhguru thing, the Isha Kriya, and that has been really, really helpful in this time because I get wrapped up in my thoughts, and they just go. It's like rumination.
Mhm.
So this meditation is, on your inhalations is I am not the body. On your exhalations, I'm not even the mind, and you do that for about 11 minutes, and then there's some little chants you do, and then you kind of hang out for a little bit with your thoughts, or not with your thoughts, but sitting as quiet as you can for a few. So I do that, and then I do another little quick stretch because my posture for meditation sucks sometimes, and so I stretch again, and then I hit another like 10 minutes of kind of breath focus meditation. And then after that, lights go on. And then like you do the Daily Stoic, that is an instrumental part of my morning. Every morning starts out with that, whether I choose to absorb it or not. But recently it has been super absorbable.
Mm.
And then other than that is, eat some breakfast and get to work, right? And then the evening is kind of rinse and repeat, minus the apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, I got some fire cider going.
I would like to try that.
Yeah,
actually, there's a lot of ingredients.
It's the same thing, but added bonuses. But I appreciate that. That's something that I've been lacking a lot on, is a good daily practice. And I know, like, I believe what the Big Book of AA says, that our spiritual condition is contingent on a daily reprieve. And yeah, I was like, well, you're moving through heavy shit pretty efficiently from my perspective because of this daily practice.
I mean, yeah, I would say if I was not involved in this daily practice, I would be probably shit-faced, and wallowing in it and trying to crawl my way back into the old, right? The comfort. And, I'm at this point of uncomfortable, right? Like, I don't want to go back now because I made it this far, right?
Yeah.
So there's got to be light at the end of the tunnel, but so I'm in this far, right? Like, and the practice definitely helps. It gets my day started because, man, for a minute there, I wasn't sleeping. I was in this what if, right? Like, what if this person finds another person? Well, you left, guy, right? Like, all these crazy situations that hurt the brain, but right, like, I'm not the body, I'm not even the mind, right? So that has helped me immensely to separate things like that, right? Like, so that is a piece that isn't going nowhere, but 1000% that morning deal is helping me figure the shit out.
I agree with that meditation 100%. We're spirit-driven vehicles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and and being conscious of that in the daily, it just helps you so much with your perception, your ability, dodge and weave the bullshit is how I put it. Like, it gives me a perspective that I'm just able to really hone in and not get wrapped up in the bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has been so ego focused. Like, I didn't know until maybe October or November that I really had a separation between head and heart. You know what I mean? It has been straight bull in a china shop, right? Like, whatever this head thinks is what's real, and unaware of how I could affect other people's reality with it. And like I said, that could be selfishness. That could just be my fear of getting too close to somebody. And I believe that. Like, I'm reading this book now, Attached. And this is the single most brutal reading I have ever done in my life. I want to put this book down every fucking page. And I'm going, because you open the first book page or first page, they start about this couple named Greg and Tamara. Well, let me tell you, this guy is Greg, and it's just like, it's a punch in the gut. And my she's Tamara, you know, the last one, like the avoidant attachment style and the anxious attachment style, right? Like she wanted nothing but to love me as good as she possibly could. And I also wanted to love her as good as I possibly could. And those children, right? And we would get to this point where everything was so good and I would just fucking blow it up, right? And then I'd come crawling back. So I'm giving this woman anxiety, right? Because she doesn't know what she's going to get. But when she gets it, it's extremely good, right? And she would call it that I would over deliver love. And, you know, like when it was good, I would over deliver. I would be all the bells and whistles that you could ask for out of a lover and a stepfather. But when it was time for me to pull away, I did it viciously. And I'm now aware of how vicious that was, because it would come out in really ugly ways. Like I didn't know how to separate, and I would separate with things like, I like really like things like I don't love you, right? Like, because I don't know what that is. Like I am realizing that I don't know what the fuck love is, right? Like that is a hard pill to swallow. So yeah.
How do you think about your vicious reactions though? Like, because I would, from my perspective, I would say that's your defense mechanism. Like I noticed over this past, my new relationship with Melanie, like I'm learning how to let someone love me, because I actually rejected love. And then so it's all my defense mechanism. Like I had to build a shell around myself because things were weaponized against me. And so when someone gets close, I put the shell up, and that can be vicious and very avoidant, but it really, in reality, like when that communication's there, and I realize like, oh, I'm just doing this because I'm still scared little boy inside.
Yes.
Like I made a pact with myself, like try not to move in reality if I'm operating out of fear.
Yes. Fear was fear is my only operating system. I'm not saying I'm out of that fear yet, right? Like I am terrified of down the road, right? I know I can't be terrified of down the road, but I am
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I am, right? Like it's not that I am not, but I know where I should be living, right? I should be living in this work right now, and it's hard to stay there. But as a defense mechanism, I think I would call it a self-serving mechanism, right? Before I was aware of this, right? Because nobody was going to take my time. Nobody was going to take that, right? So that is what I perceived it to be until recently, right? Like I want to live in a van down by the river by myself. I don't want to see anybody ever, right? And when it turns out that you're faced with being alone, it's really not what I want. So let's dive into that and what that means. And yeah, it's a wild place. So yes, defense mechanism or attachment style. Like I wish this book was around a couple of years ago, and I think it would have made a lot of sense in what's happened. And
everything's right on time all the time.
It is for sure. And if I end up finding somebody down the road, they're going to be fucking thankful I read this book.
Yeah. Would you like to explain what the attachment styles are? Someone might not.
I mean, so there's 3 different types of attachment styles, right? So there is a secure attachment style. I'll read it right from the book because I for sure have it highlighted.
What's up, everybody? We got three lives. Kelly eating mountain. Hello. Yeah, I call it porcupining. You know.
Porcupining?
Yeah, like when I get defensive, my quills come out to attack, and it's not because I'm trying to hurt them. I'm just trying to protect myself.
Yeah. So here's this thing like attachment needs, right? So here's a secure attachment style. I find it relatively easy to get close to others and am comfortable depending on them and having them depend on me. I don't often worry about being abandoned or about someone getting too close to me. That's secure. Here's what I have highlighted for myself, right? I am somewhat uncomfortable being close to others. I find it difficult to trust them completely, difficult to allow myself to depend on them. I am nervous when anyone gets too close, and often love partners want me to be more intimate than I feel comfortable being. That's me in a very easy breezy term for what this book gets into. And here's the anxious attachment style. I find that others are reluctant to get as close as I would like. I often worry that my partner doesn't really love me or want to stay with me. I want to merge completely with another person, and this desire sometimes scares people away. So, yeah, that's the three in a nutshell.
I've definitely, majority of my life, been avoidant as well. Like, I definitely still am to an extent, and I can see areas where I'm moving into secure compared to a year ago. Like you remember my breakup with Chrissy,
Oh, yeah.
my 8 years.
I was there for it.
I was a maniac, and it is amazing how quickly things can change when you do the work too. Like I definitely was super anxious, insecure, and still into my new relationship with Melanie. I displayed a lot of those, and it's beautiful if you have a communicating partner, how much you can transcend in such a short time.
Yeah, and that's I think that's what I'm learning is that I've always thrown it in someone's face that we communicate poorly, blah blah blah. I don't understand how you can't understand what I'm feeling, and I haven't had a lot of successful health in a lot of relationships. But
I say it's an art form to know when someone's in the receiving mode or not. Because if you can, it's like what the Bible says, it's like pearls to swine. Like if someone's upset, their defenses are automatically put up, and then you say things to them, and they just go in one ear and out the other. So like really paying attention to like if someone's going to receive your message or not is key to communication for sure.
So this book goes into actually like the biology of attachment. Like our partner, once we're supposed to be with another person, right? Mm-hmm. But like your partner influences your heart rate, all of those things, mm-hmm. right? Your heart rate, your emotions, right? And you're attached. You are physically attached to a person. When they're near you, far, right? Your partner's far from you, you might be anxious, right? Like that's something that is real.
Yeah. I've seen a thing once that said like partners who are together for long periods of time actually blank out part of their like memory, and they rely on each other to remember situations. If you're with someone for something like, yeah, we produce so many like oxytocin when we're close to someone. So it is like a physical withdrawal when you're with someone for like you do like your biochemistry changes because you're not, our magnetic fields and all that interaction dissipates. It's a detox. Yeah.
I forget the name of the study. I know I keep quoting this book, but it's run through my veins. But this experiment that they did, and they would put this is kind of how attachment theory started in the 50s. Like they would put a child and their mother in a room with all of these toys. And the kid would go explore and do all of these things, right? And then they would take the kid was happy as hell, doing all these things, exploring. And then they would take the mother out of the room And as soon as the kid notices the mom was gone, all of that exploration was done and it was run to the door, right? Because of that attachment, you know, and that, I mean, that's not, I don't think, mind blowing, but it is a thing. Or when people hold hands, like an experiment where they had women just in a room and expose them to like a startling thing, right? And they check their heart rate. Boom, their heart rate peaks. Holding the hand of a friend, right? That same noise, heart rate a little less jumpy. With their partner, right? Barely rose at all. Like that's a physical thing, you know? But yeah, I think that everybody is, you have to learn how to work with your person. And
so yeah, what I hear that study saying to me is like, I need to make sure I create a safe environment.
verbatim.
Yeah.
For
like, and that can be with friends, family, or a lover for sure. But if it's a fight or flight or rest or digest. Like if I'm in any of them modes and I don't feel secure, my life, it crumbles.
You cannot thrive unless you are working with someone, right? If my partner has the fear of me leaving, how can they be comfortable doing anything in any other facet of their life? Right? They can't explore other facets of their life, right? And just like if I feel a certain way in a relationship, I'm not doing the things that I think are going to better myself. So yes, it is fascinating to me that this fucking thing never made it to me until now.
I would say this is the first time in my life where I have that. I've always been a combative, toxic kind of interactions with the ones I love, whether it be family, friends, or a lover. And this is the first time I think I'm also like coming out of that constant fight or flight and now being able to like thrive in a way. And I still bounce back and forth.
Yes. And so fight or flight, right? So I have pegged myself as fight or flight for a really, really long time. And it is the way that I'm programmed, right? Like, but I think that it is a workable space. Like this fight or flight, or what you're calling fight or flight, is I'm calling my my avoidance or maladjustments to people in life. You know, like it's a workable space that can improve.
I think with your daily practice, I went through a time of affirmations and basically reprogramming my subconscious mind. And that's what I hear that you're doing. Maybe not put that way exactly, but
I mean, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's,
a belief is a thought you just keep thinking. So
Yeah.
over time, like, and it's so amazing to me how short it is. When I really get on like a month now, I'm sure a month you feel like you can feel a substantial difference in a practice like that.
I mean, now they're habits, right? Now it's a habit that I'm not missing. Like that alarm goes off at 4:45 and I'm not missing what that is, right? Like it is, you know, and I don't know if it's the thing keeping me on track, but I'm not going to fuck with it, right? Like I don't know how I'm going to feel going through this without it, right? Like, so I'm not giving up the ship on that practice at all. I'm not adding more to it. You know, I'm doing as much as I can handle and that I feel is beneficial, right? Like I used to, you know, explosion, you know, come to my senses, you know, and then do everything I possibly could until I would be I would be overwhelmed, you know, and I couldn't keep up with all of the shit. Like you got to wake up and you got to write. Like that is kind of how my brain works. It is a lot of all or nothing. It's an all or nothing ego for sure. It is, I'm either doing it all or I'm backsliding.
They say that's called a thinking distortion, right? So like as you heal, that all or nothing thinking will subside because that is also a trait.
Yeah, it's workable. For sure.
Yeah.
All of this shit is workable as far as I'm learning and feeling now. You know, there was a point years ago, you know, at one point I had resigned myself. Like I woke up hungover years ago, and I was like, well, this is what it is, right? Like you are going to die alone, drunk, and this is it, you know. And eventually that became a not workable, right? Like that was a workable thing to get out of, to not be resolved to I'm just going to be a barfly, and it's yeah, slowly but surely these things are coming together. But as these things for you go up, right, you're going deeper inward, and each thing now is every time is the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and
you should look forward to that, because that's
right. That is
Yeah.
that is the part that is keeping me going. Right.
Yeah.
Because you've gotten to these parts, not these parts, right? Like you've got to here before. And when it got tough, you're like, or, you know, like Ken puts it, I got my, what was it? My back. I got my job back, my back problems.
Yeah.
I got my job back. I got my relationship back. I got my car, like whatever it was. I got all that back, and I quit the work, right? Because I was fixed.
Yeah.
But now, like I said, this shit sucks, but I know I'm here, and I can't not do it now. I could not do it now, but I'm unwilling to not do it, because I can't do it to myself. I can't do it to another woman. I can't do it to another family. I can't do it to my family. There's a lot at stake. Everything is at stake for me to get to the other side of this. You know, like I have tomorrow with Lana, I have a 6 or 8 hour hypnosis session to maybe dig in a little bit deeper. Yeah, like I'm doing it.
Yeah, you're doing all the different healing things you can to level up, be a better person, and that's all we can do.
Well, yeah, I like the term level up, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I have been slowly leveling up, and now we're at this juncture where, you know, you're at that the boss level, right? Like you're gonna go fight Donkey Kong or whatever, and you know, I haven't beat it before, right? Like this is the fucking time.
Yeah.
This is the time I you know, slay the dragon or whatever, fucking you know, beat Donkey Kong.
Yeah, no options, baby.
Yeah, I really don't. Not one.
And that's the mindset that you need, I think, to like kill it. Dude, is like, yeah, this is like you said. You're not willing to do anything else but that.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, and
I
that's
can't. And I know that. I absolutely know that, because what I feel, you know, for this woman and those kids that I left, God, like this is absolute fucking misery. On not the guilt side, right? Like guilt is the ego makes you feel guilt, but the unavailability of myself, and it's a workable thing, or the unavailability of myself for relationships prior. Like I have been doing this to people as a whole as long as I can physically remember, you know.
I got a question. So like as you're talking and you're growing, like from our conversations on the regular, like your awareness is expanding and synchronicities are happening more and more.
Oh, crazy. Like it's the synchronicities outside of the pain are like, it's so crazy to me, the things that are happening on the positive side, you know, and I know that this is positive too, but yeah, things are just happening for, you know, for a guy like me. You know, it is bananas.
And that's the direct result of you doing the work, and your reality will continue to shift into more amazing and beautiful pathways the more that you do it.
Oh yeah, it's the, you know, vibrate higher or level it up, whatever it is. It's all frequency. I believe that, you know, we're beings of energy. Like if I'm down here, my the people that work for me are down here, and they've never seen me, down here. And it's not that I won't, but I'm living in that, positivity at work. Like I have the sweetest gig, it's pretty wild how that all came together. But yeah, things are really, really happening as a whole for the good.
Well, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Julie says hi. Hi, Julie.
Oh, hey, Julie. My name twin.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about your thing. You've been dealing with some heavy, right? Let's get to your business.
Cool. Yeah.
You're gonna sock it to me. I'm gonna sock it to you.
Yeah. I mean, the beginning of the year was super great, and I am doing a lot more, and I'm getting more things flowing. And then it reverbs back, and it's due to like my son Patrick. Dude, he's been just like, I believe kids are a direct reflection, like they're little mirrors to us, and it's he's 5 now, and the programming leading up to how old he is now has obviously been somewhat wonky because his actions, like he's like just getting in trouble in school and not listening and running around the school, and just like I sit and I'll talk to him and he'll agree and he tells me everything, he'll express everything, and then the next day he just does it again. And I'm just at a complete loss of like how to help him. I've tried the aggression at first, and that's obviously I think what got us into this point. And then like now I'm not, and it's just it's really hard when you like also like it's me and their mom split a year ago, so it's like they bounce in and out of different people in their life already, aggressive situations, and then I feel guilty because they had experienced that, and then it's just and then so I know the best way to heal my son is to become the best me I can be, and like kill it just like every day, like but I get in these patterns of like shame, I guess, or like something bad will happen, I get hung up on it, and then I used to stay in there for months, and now I'm like, it's not too long at all, but it sucks, and it's hard. So I feel like a failure as a father sometimes.
Yeah, but we've talked about this a lot, that you have that self-worth or failure type deal, right? Like, but little Pat, right, he has done these things a few times now, right? Like how many times have you done stuff and you're still going back to the same shit, right? Like it's maybe some of us are just not the quickest learners, but like I mean the environment in which we grow up, for sure. Like I don't know, like shit, like what I'm finding out, like a lot of what I think I'm going through is directly from how I grew up. And I thought I grew up awesome, and the deeper I dig, I'm finding out, and it's hard to say, right? It's really hard to say because I thought I grew up in this super taken care of, like awesome home. But my dad worked in surgery. My mom was a nurse, and I was always at a babysitter. I was always I lived in a surgery lounge, right? Like someone else was always taking care of me as a kid because my dad was always on call. My mom was a nurse, but I didn't go without, right? Like, so I was never abandoned as a kid or anything like that. But like that I think is what is at the root cause of me doing all these things, right? So addressing the root, right? Like is be the best Pat, right? And not backslide like me. Same shit, How many times are we going to repeat this and repeat this until everybody around you has had enough, and then you eventually have enough, right? Like it's got to be for you. It's just like getting sober. Like I can't get sober for a woman. I can't get sober for a thing. I can't get sober for a job. It doesn't work. It does not work at all. You have to do it for you.
There's an interesting, when I was talking to Stacy, she brought up this study. Have you heard of the mice and the cherries? They would give a mouse a cherry and they would shock it, right? And they did that a couple times and the mouse wouldn't go back to the cherry. And the mice had kids. The kids didn't even touch the cherry, right? It took 7 generations for the mice to investigate the cherry without being shocked, right? So that's stored in our memory. It's passed down. And it's interesting, like Patrick doesn't like to talk about what he did, but the way that I got him
he's a secretive.
The way that I got him to open up was I told him a story about when I was a teenager, and I got really mad and I punched a hole in my wall, right? And so me like just sitting down with him and telling him like, hey, dude, Dad's done some shit. Like I totally get it. Was like I'm learning how to create, and that created a safe space for him. He was like, oh, it's not just me, And he was able then he told me the whole story. And it took me fucking 15 minutes of like other ways around it to try to get him to express himself. So it's that authenticity when I can really speak my truth and not be judgmental and share my experience, strength, and hope. Someone feels comfortable enough to share. It's amazing. It's beautiful, really.
That just made me feel something too, like that. So yeah, I did not have that safe space with my mother, and I see it where she gets it from with her parents, right? They were it was nothing was ever good enough, right? Or you can't do this, or if you did this, you're going to hear about it, right? So there was no I didn't have that safe space, right? But I also wasn't doing a lot of the things that maybe I would have been kept in a safe space. But even as a kid, a little kid, I remember going through all that, So yeah, I think a safe space is really, really important to have. And then also go in relationships, like going forward, like how can you have a comfortable relationship or a workable relationship if it's not a safe space? If someone's worried about something or you're right, like it's got to all work.
I think like with me and Melanie, that's our prime focus, really.
You guys are fantastic. You guys are a model for what
it's commit to growth. I'll meet you there. And then if anyone's off, we stop everything and communicate about that till we find a workable place to move forward. And we're both willing to look at it and not shun it away. And that's something like I've done my whole life, is like the uncomfortability. I'm going outside to smoke a cigarette. I got to run to the store. All this shit, all these dodgy things, just playing video games or turn the TV on or something to avoid it. Mm-hmm. And, I don't do that anymore in this relationship. I'll just say, like, I'm not willing to communicate this right now. Let's just do our thing. We'll come back to it. But that's as far as it goes. It's like, I'm not willing right now. Mm-hmm. But we always go back to whatever it is. And that is transformative.
I hate the word transfer. I don't hate anything, but I dislike the word transformative. But yes.
Thank you for saying we're a good model. I appreciate that.
I mean, I love you and Mama Melanie. It's a good thing to see. I don't like the word hope either. Hope is a shitty strategy, but it gives me hope.
Yeah.
That it can be done, because I know you're a wild man. you're a wild man as it gets.
Been a very controlling and abusive individual in the past, for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I'm finding is my behavior is like in that regard, right? Like in the from a relationship standpoint, right? Like I leave, and then when I want to come back, because I really do love someone, I just don't know how to do it or let them love me, and I blow it up, and I'm like, well, I could get it this time, right? I got it this time. But when I come back and they're not receptive to that, right? Like how many times do I get to leave you and come back, right? Until it's time for you to say no. And, really up until now, that's never happened to me. And eventually I always left, you know, and never tried to come back. But when I try to come back and they're not receptive to it, I think that I'm trying to impose my will. No, I'm not thinking that I am imposing my will, trying to fight my way back in there because it's what I ultimately really desire. I just don't know how to fucking do it. Right. Like, so it is imposing my will. And I would say that that is fucking abusive, right? Like, you don't want to talk to me. Don't fucking talk to me. Right. Like, why don't I take the hint that you need peace and you need space to recover from me? Right? Like, it's still a me thing, right? At that point, it's still a me. What about me? How am I going to feel if you find somebody else, right? Like, it's still all about me at times, you know? And that is a serious revelation to now be into this work, going into this work for years, and still realize that it's still in that zone a lot of times. Never my intention, but it ends up that way. And now I'm fully aware of this, right? Now someone did it to where I got to feel it, you know, it ain't working out in my favor.
And it's creating that. We have to create our happiness individually and then share that.
Right.
Instead of relying on the other person to make myself feel better.
Well, I just heard the Duncan Trussell thing yesterday. It was a Ram Dass going, the only thing that it's about is getting better so we can help other people, right? Like, that's the whole is better than the sum of its parts.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, that's the idea of that. And yeah, I don't have any options left, right? Last house on the block is me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all. I mean, ultimately, you're right. That's all we have. But community is everything also.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, so to go through this with the group that we have and bounce these ideas and get to come here and talk about it, right? Like, I have pages upon pages of writing, but it's writing to myself. And if I don't share it, you know, a problem shared is a problem cut in half. And that helps, right? And that helps other people open up, right? Like, we go to those meetings and someone will say something and it'll spark a chain reaction of healing and bringing things out that people didn't want to talk about or have been waiting to talk about. The community is everything. And yeah, there's not enough to be said about what's happening, because I wouldn't be facing this stuff head on without what we're building over there. No doubt about it.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I've definitely come in my shell this past year and just been able to feel more connections with, get to know people easier and let people in way easier, and just, yeah, Moshi in itself is a beautiful organization that's really helping a lot of people.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you, from when I met you in 2020, before I left for Oregon, entirely different person.
Yeah.
Right? Entirely different person. And even the first few times we hung out, right? Like, those experiences were downright scary. You know, like, fuck, you're a man possessed. But we made it, and now we're here, right? Like, that's that constant. And yeah, like, I look up to you a lot.
Thank you.
You know, you still can trigger me like nobody else, you know, and a lot of times I'd like to punch you in the eye, you know, but it works, and it makes me question pretty much everything. Right? Like, so if I want to do it, let me talk about it in front of Pat or in front of this group and see how that goes. Like,
yeah, that's what friends are for, to check each other, I think, and just It's all out of love, and that's all. Yeah, that's what friends are for.
That's the interesting part about this thing that we're building is the X amount of us that there are, right? It is a humdrum ragtag. You would never get these people together in a common place ever, right? Like it is the strangest group of people that we have. Not strange, it's the most beautiful group of people.
Right.
But it is, I don't know what the fuck I was saying. I got lost in the beauty of what it is. Like you would never put any of us together, but we're coming together and doing great things for ourselves, right? Like, and it's that's what it was. Healthy relationships, building healthy relationships for the first time in my life outside, prior to a couple of years ago, most of my relationships were, centered around bars, right? And by chance, I don't know any of them anymore, right? Like those, but the people here, like I talk daily with tons of people, about whatever, or if I'm feeling heavy or they're feeling heavy, they feel comfortable enough to share with me and I feel comfortable enough to share. Whereas I have stuffed everything down in my entire life to not feel or engage with feelings, right? Like this is a place that is all feelings, and damn, it's moving for sure.
Yeah, it makes it way easier for me. Yeah, because everyone's doing it. It was very hard for me to jump on that self-discovery feeling process and talking about it. I mean, I started in the rooms of AA, but like moving forward through that, like everyone's doing it, and there's like everyone compliments each other, and it's just so like there ain't nothing. It's just super empowering for me.
It is very empowering, just because of the honesty that you can do. Like same thing. AA was my real spiritual start, right? But there's a lot of shit that you're not going to talk about in a meeting.
Yeah.
Like there's so much of me that I can't share at a meeting, right? So you go through your 12 steps, but what next?
Yeah.
Right? Like this is what's next, right? Like I could have successfully stayed in the rooms of AA the way I was, right? If I didn't want more. But I want so much more because I'm not done. I'm not healthy with AA, I'm not healthy at all.
I don't think there's
AA.
a max level. I think if anyone, like, there's something else after this. There's always more, and being a seeker, I like to consider myself a seeker. I'm enjoying the journey, but I'm never quite satisfied with the answers I get. I always know there's more, and it's a loving yearning for more.
Yes.
And it's it's like that is what life's all about for me, really.
Yeah. On one hand, I would be awesome feeling if this stopped and there was a flag and it was like, oh, you're done, right? Like you're done and there's no more of this. And if yes, like there's no doubt in my mind, I would say yes. But I know I have to, like you're saying, like you have to seek it out, right? Like, so I am in this deep and I have to keep going. And I have to welcome all of that shit. And it is shit. It is. And there's a lot of it, but when you work through some things, right? Like it's, man, this one's done. I got it.
Yeah.
It ain't. It ain't. Yeah. There's another. And everyone feels like you are getting punched in the stomach. That's where I carry mine, right? It is. It is. I'm out of breath. It is just a heaviness. Like there's a bowling ball living inside of me, and when something comes up, I'm addressing the shit out of it because I know where stuffing it has gotten me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. There's many different pathways to get there too, and I've had to do a lot of different healing modalities to find what I needed to do, to find the path really.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot, I've started eating better. I've
Yes.
started, exercising. The gym's a pretty regular routine still. It's a must, but there's a lot of, I respond very well to yoga, and that's something I've been avoiding, consciously thinking about and avoiding, which,
Because it takes work. And it's like, I am not a very flexible person. I know when I have done yoga, it has been good feeling. I've never done it long enough to, notice any long-term benefits.
I held lower tension in my spine my entire life until I started doing yoga, and it was like, I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah. But it's work, right? Like it's more stuff to do for you. It's easy to not do stuff for you. It's easy to sit on the couch and not do anything. It's really easy, and I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
I could sit there and look at my phone and ruminate until I'm blue in the face or in a fucking panic attack, right? About shit that's not real. Or I can get up and go put in some work and get there. And one, at least get your mind in a different place, right? Like, and get your physical form moving, right? Like, there's so much good to all those things, but it's sacking up and doing it.
Yeah.
And that is the hard part.
I have to tell myself, shut up, don't think. And then I just go. And that's really when I get it, for sure.
Yeah.
Did you want to share any of your writings with the community? If not, that's cool too.
Man.
Morgan said, fight or flight stems from survival instincts. Trauma can magnify it. Yeah, for sure.
Do I have one that I would share?
I don't know. I'm so happy that you send the Daily Stoic to everyone, because
I guess
Stoicism is very cool.
I mean, it's a very bare bones approach, and I like it because I consider myself a caveman. It's hard to read those things and be in it is it's tough some days, right? Like, I can read it and go, oh, this is what I got to do today. And when that time, every time it comes, right? Like, that situation comes up indefinitely that day, whatever you read about. How did I do it? Did I do it like that book said?
I'll be honest with you. Sometimes when I do my lives, I don't even, it's like in and out, and I don't like it. I don't think about it, I think, as much as I should. I know it's in there ruminating somewhere, so it's adding benefit, but
the
like
absorption,
making like reading something and making a conscious effort to practice that day is something that I haven't really thought about in a while. I'm happy that I said it, because I'm going to try to implement that, because it is super impactful.
well, yeah, for like a while, right? Like, I have a whole group of people that I send that shit out to in our groups, AA groups, like whatever. I have like 30 people I send that to every day. But like, at one time, like, I was getting wrapped up in like how fast I could open this book, take a picture, and send it, right? And then make sure everybody else got the message. And then me getting it was like an afterthought, and I would like panic read it, right? Like, and I wasn't getting, not panic read, but like speed read it, and just make sure, because when I'm sending it, I'm starting to get replies back or whatever, and now I'm doing that, and I never was reading it. So now, at the end of the meditation and prayer, that I stop everything, and the only thing that changes in the meditation room is I turn the light on so I can read. But that has been instrumental, and the same with reading with myself. I've been reading book after book after book, but putting the phone out of anywhere close, because that is a source of anxiety, right? Like, waiting for someone, looking, did someone message me? Did they? No. No. Answer, like why ask questions to things you don't want to know the answer to? That's a I'm good at that.
Yeah.
You know,
That's fine.
I will ask every question that I don't want the answer to, and that is a skill I need to advance in.
Right.
Really advance. So I will share. We talked about my sexual band-aids and booze crutches. So yeah, this is a sexual band-aid. It's kind of uplifting, actually. I know I've been talking about how shitty everything is, but we'll start it from the top. So sexual band-aids in my first aid kit. Race to the cabinet only to find the cut is too goddamn big and these things don't stick for shit. First time in life, I'm not on the run, but old me is pleading. Nothing a band-aid could have done to stop the heavy bleeding. Here I sit all by myself, nursing myself back to health. Put my ashes on the shelf to let you in my newfound wealth. This road is fucking long. These feelings fucking tough. My lesson has become a song to hum when times get rough. Ta-da! Short and sweet.
Like
Uplifting, sort of.
Yeah. You're channeling that into something creative.
So there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it that's just could have just scribbled black.
Yeah. I've destroyed people's lives with my sexual band-aid process.
Yeah.
Like yeah, feeling not okay and wanting to go out and seek validation through women that were not even a second thought.
Well, and we attract, right? Like we attract people who also need band-aids when we need band-aids, right? Like that is the how you fix a cut with a cut. Like, you know, like let's you know, trauma bond and blood that together, you know. So yeah, that's a thing for me too. Like, and I don't want to repeat that, right? Like, it is a strange place to be, to have the opportunity to go out there and try to do it right this time, but knowing that you're not even fucking close to giving somebody what one you deserve and what you are no longer willing to put someone through because you now realize you put people through things because of you. That is a very, I'm proud of that, you know, I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of our group for getting me to these realizations, because on my own, like I said, I would probably be face down at a bar right now. I would be, you know, and I certainly wouldn't be writing because I would be face down at a bar. I wouldn't be hanging out with anybody that's going to help me do anything besides get drunk or high, right? Like that's what it would have been exactly back to if I wasn't here, you know. So that's my spiel on that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You want to wrap it up?
We could wrap it up for sure. Thank you for listening to me get out my heavy. I appreciate it. I hope maybe it made sense for somebody that needed to hear it, and it made a lot of sense for me. So I'll turn it over to our lovely Pat.
Yeah. I just want to thank you so much for coming over and doing this, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. I'm so blessed to have you as a friend and a fellow journeyer, and just yeah, you've been instrumental in my growth, and you've always been there when I called you, and you shoot it to me straight, and I appreciate that because I don't feel like everyone has that ability to do so.
Well, I mean, I just shoot it back to you straight because I'm probably retaliating.
It works well
for something you made me think about that I didn't like.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate that you're receptive to that, because I've been all like that my entire life, and I've always just come out like an asshole, and it pushes people away, you know. And I don't mean to. I just love you so much and want
So I mean, a couple of years ago, had we had these discussions, you would have never heard from me again. You would have got the avoidant
Yeah.
thing too, and it's been a lot of time to get to those points, even then that are before now. Like, and now, I listen to every fucking word you say because it hurts sometimes, right? And I need to hear shit that hurts or is different than me, because if I do all this on my own, I already have the right answer, right? Like I know what I'm going to do before I do it, right? Because that's me.
Something Melanie tells me is I should take my own advice. So.
Well, I used to tell people that all the time, like take my advice. I'm not using it.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
well, thanks everybody.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
I love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have another sweet human on next week at some point, and I love you guys so much.